Today, I am doing something that no sane human would ever dare to do, and that is ranking a bunch of anime on a tier list. Now, if there's one thing to know about anime fans is that they are insane, okay? You don't say that their favorite anime is just the greatest form of fiction, all right? The peak of all human creations. Well, that just earns you a one-way ticket directly into the shadow realm where you're banished forever. So I hope you guys keep me in your thoughts and prayers for even attempting this by liking the video and subscribing with notifications, and let's just jump right into it. First anime that we have on the list is Bleach, all right? One of the original big three, one of the monster trios. Admittedly though, it is probably the weakest out of the big three. Saying that probably has already pissed off many of my viewers, but I'm sorry to tell you the truth. It is just an objective fact, all right? I will say a couple of great things about Bleach though. Probably has the greatest character designs out of the big three, right? Probably some of the coolest villains, like Aizen, for example. He probably has the most aura in all of anime. And also, Bleach invented the Bunkai power system, which many of your favorite anime, Jujutsu Kaisen, just completely ripped off of, all right? No hate to JJK, I love it, but Bleach is kind of the OG in that sense. But yeah, if I had to compare main characters though, out of the big three among Luffy, Naruto, and Ichigo, I would have to say Ichigo is probably third on the tier. Overall, a generational anime, all right, definitely cemented its legacy in anime history forever. I think everybody's looking forward to the fourth part of the 1,000-year Blood War coming up real soon. This is an easy A tier for me, guys. Not quite S yet. Not quite. Don't cancel me, all right? Please, this is just my personal opinion. I'm begging you. I need to feed my family. I need the YouTube channel to keep going. Second, we have a Blue Lock, not to be confused with Blue Lock Rivals in Roblox, which is probably more popular at this point than the actual Blue Lock itself, but definitely the most popular current generation of sports anime out there. I can't think of anything else that's as popular as Blue Lock. Season 1 was absolute peak. And speaking of Ichigo Kurosaki, we also have Ichigo somehow make an appearance in Blue Lock. Like, you cannot tell me this dude, Kunigami, is not Ichigo, bro. They look exactly the same. And speaking of ripping things off, I mean, Blue Lock is also very well known for just taking anime character designs from other shows and incorporating it into their own. I mean, look, there's whole lists made about this. Isagi is literally just Kirito from Sword Art Online. Chigiri is Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin. And then Nagi is N from Death Note. I would even argue Nagi kind of looks like a Killua also. We got Bachira as, what is this? Kazutora from Tokyo Revengers. I've never seen this. I'll be honest. I don't see too big of a resemblance here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, they do look kind of similar. Kunigami is Ichigo. Gurimu is Akane from Attack on Titan, which we'll get to later on in this list. Raichi is Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Oh my god, they're literally identical, bro. I've never actually watched Steins Gate. Once again, please do not cancel me. I can't make this comparison. Baru is Leorio from Hunter x Hunter. Dude, how did I not see this before? Honestly, kind of a stretch. Alright, come on, bro. That's just not... they're just both purple. I don't see any other resemblance there. Regardless, this is a great anime. Brought a lot of emotions out of me, alright? And I'm not even a huge football fan. Season 2 story with a Blue Lock versus the under 20 match was epic, except I will say the animation in Season 2 kind of fell off a little bit. They were showing us literal slideshows instead of animations. And for that, I will say overall, Blue Lock probably earns a spot in the... Ooh. Is any anime really in the C or D tier, guys? I'm gonna have to say C tier, bro, just to save some more room to separation between the, you know, the B and the A's and the C's and the D's and F. You get what I'm saying. Next up, we have Chainsaw Man. This anime has absolutely taken the world by a storm with its most recent movie, the Reize arc. I will say I watched the movie and it was peak. I have seen the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1 movie as well. Both of them came out like pretty close to each other. The Chainsaw Man movie was better, okay? I'm probably saying so many things that will get me canceled in this video, but I don't care. Chainsaw Man's the ending fight between Denji and Reize was just My mind was blown the entire time watching it. Look, the Chainsaw Man movie Reze arc is literally ranked number 2 all time on the top anime list. All right, I'm not making this up. It's that good. The music choice, the colors, the animation, the sound effects, everything about it was just insane. Season 1, I will say though, didn't impress me that much. It was a good anime, but the story was just, there was no story pretty much. It was just about a dude named Denji who got some devil powers. Nobody can explain why, and all he wants to do in his entire life is touch some. That's it. And then the girl vomited into his mouth. That made me vomit into my own mouth. Slow start, epic movie. Let's go ahead and put Chainsaw Man into C tier. I don't think we're giving any anime a D today, guys. And these anime on the list, I'm looking at them now, are all way too good. Next up, Death Note. All right, probably everybody's introduction to anime, maybe next to Dragon Ball. Most people who I know who don't watch anime at all still have watched Death Note. It's short and sweet. I think there's only about like what, 50 something episodes. Oh dude, Death Note only had 37 episodes. Yeah, so it wasn't very difficult for a lot of people to get into compared to One Piece, and the story was just absolutely genius. I think everybody who is not even an anime fan can appreciate it, with just L and Light just playing mind games with each other, trying to one-up one another. I will still stand by the fact that I think L figured out Light was Kira the first time that they ever met. Come at me if you disagree, all right? And as perfect as a story as it could have been, I think it was dragged on way too long, you know? Spoilers alert, cover your ears if you haven't watched Death Note yet. With the death of L, and then they introduced N into the show, and it was just like, it felt like the writer was just forced to extend the series because of how popular it was. But Death Note has cemented itself, you know, once again in just popular culture history. I have a Death Note. I've written many names in the Death Note, all right? Admittedly, none of it has worked. But because of how steep of a drop-off it had towards the second half, I think, objectively speaking, nah, I can't. This is so hard for me, guys. This is so hard for me to say Death Note is a B, but compared to... It's an A. Death Note is an A, okay? I'm sorry for even having considered that it would have been a B, but it's an A. All right, up next, we have one of the most popular anime in the entire world right now. Everybody and their grandma is talking about it. Demon Slayer. Especially with the release of the recent movie in Infinity Castle, which I completely just trashed on when I was comparing it with the Chainsaw Man movie. Objectively, Infinity Castle Part 1 was still a very, very good movie. Now, some would say that a lot of the backstory that was in between the fights kind of took people out of it. It doesn't take anything away from it, just how beautiful it is. I don't think there's any argument that could be made that Demon Slayer, made by Ufotable, which has unlimited budgets when it comes to animation, has the greatest animation in the history of all anime. All right, a lot of anime opinions are subjective, you know, to personal preference, but I think it's pretty much an actual fact that Demon Slayer is the best animated series out there. Story incredibly mid. I have read the entire manga, and I would say the anime absolutely carries it, all right? Now, do I want to be one of those douchebags that talk about how, you know, the Demon Slayer is not very deep, there's not a lot of story to it, or do I just want to, you know, dwell on the fact of how hype in the animation and cool this whole show is? I think I'm gonna go with the second option. Demon Slayer, A tier. Easy A tier for me, bro. From my boy, the Dona Man Rengoku, to Tengen versus Upper Six, to Tanjiro and Gyu versus Akaza. Every single fight in the anime has just brought me to the edge of my seat, and I cannot in good conscience give it anything below A tier. Now, next up, we have an anime that not many people have heard of. It's called Doraemon. This is a super old anime. I'm Unk, so I know of it. I grew up watching it. Okay, I will admit. I want y'all to comment down below if you know what Doraemon is. If you do, you're an absolute real one, okay? Basically, it's about a story of a futuristic robot cat from the year like 2100 and something that can just pull really cool gadgets out of his pockets, and then he just kind of goes on goofy, wacky adventures with his group of silly friends. And every single episode kind of gives you like a life story, you know, teaching kids about certain meanings in life, and it's overall just very good. A huge part of my childhood, okay? But I have to be a little bit more objective here. In terms of comparing it to every other anime on this entire list, it is not the best, okay? I enjoyed it when I was 10 years old. Could I go back and watch it now? Probably, but it wouldn't be as enjoyable for me. This thing's been around since 1969, bro. That is almost as old as me. Yeah, we'll put Doraemon into the B tier. I think that's a safe spot. If I was just going off my own personal, completely biased opinion, I would put Doraemon directly into God tier. S tier doesn't even, it can't contain how good it is. And the same can be said about the next anime, Dragon Ball Z. We'll just go ahead and say the entire Dragon Ball series, all right? If it was completely my own personal biased opinion, Dragon Ball might even go to a tier beyond God, all right? Above Doraemon. It would be Super Saiyan 1000 tier. That's the stuff I used to Google when I was a kid, when I heard rumors of Super Saiyan 10,000. Bro, I remember seeing a picture of this Super Saiyan 10,000 Goku and my 10-year-old mind was completely blown. It just looks like a bunch of spaghetti on my screen. I don't think there's a debate that a Dragon Ball has inspired an entire new generation of anime, you know, including Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and everything you can name. All of the creators of these shows says that Dragon Ball has taken some part in inspiring them, okay? For that fact alone, Dragon Ball should deserve a spot in the S tier. On top of the fact that, I mean, coming out from so long ago, still kind of being peak with Dragon Ball Super, I will say Dragon Ball Z is still the best. It has the most iconic anime character of all time, which is Goku. Has some of the greatest villains ever created. I will reference Dragon Ball Z, you know, Frieza, Cell, Boo. Those were my favorite villains in anime. But let's just admit the story just didn't really make much sense, all right? Every time somebody would get stronger, there would be a new form of Super Saiyan, a new power-up, and it's just like, it was super inconsistent. A bazillion plot holes. Goku will die and come back a couple episodes later every single time. If I had to be super critical, those are the things I would say, but Dragon Ball's perfect. I don't care. S tier, don't at me. First S tier entrance, guys. That is incredible. And this next anime gets pretty close to S tier, I will say. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, okay, to be very clear, not the other one, probably had the most perfect storyline and the most perfect ending of all anime. Like, for something as epic as it was, the way that it ended, I don't think could have been done any better. I don't think there's one bad thing anybody could say about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, except for this creep right here. This mother... I will forever hold a grudge against him for the rest of my life. For those of you who know, you just know, all right? For those of you who don't, I hope you never find out. Watching this guy ruined my entire life. And that's without an ounce of exaggeration. But yeah, I think we could pretty much agree Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, it's gotta go in the S tier, man. If you guys can have one solid criticism for this anime, I would love to hear it. It's as close to perfection as possible. I think the fact that Frieren and Chainsaw Man movie are ranking above Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood on this list is just an absolute criminal. But still, being in the top 3, I mean, how does that not earn itself in the S tier? Now, you can say, well, why isn't Chainsaw Man in the S tier? It's one movie, okay? It's not the whole show. I bet you Chainsaw Man is not even in the top 50. Where is Chainsaw Man? Yep, I don't see it anywhere else in the top 50. So there you go. Suck it. Okay, next up, we got Haikyu. Not a big fan of volleyball, but I think everybody pretty much agrees that it is the best sports anime of all time. I personally disagree. There is another sports anime that I like a lot better than Haikyu, but not much bad can be said about Haikyu either, man. Just an absolute emotional roller coaster. Volleyball Legends, one of the coolest games on Roblox. I hate to keep digressing here. Let's go ahead and put Haikyu also into the A tier. Man, this A tier is getting really, really long, guys. Hunter x Hunter, all right? The only anime that you could probably make an argument for that is grander and a bigger adventure than One Piece. The world building is absolutely insane. The power system is probably one of the most perfect power systems in all of anime. And when we talk about, you know, other anime taking inspiration, you can't tell me that the Solo Leveling Jeju Island raid is not just a direct ripoff of Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ant arc, okay? Whenever popular anime steals from other other popular anime, you know they're good. You know they're peak. Also, Killua, probably the second greatest side character in anime history. I will say who is number one pretty soon. But yeah, let's go ahead and put Hunter directly into the S tier. All right, now we got Jujutsu Kaisen, dude. Probably the most overhyped anime of all time. Let's just be real with each other. I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but the love that it gets is just not deserved, especially Gojo. People ignore how convoluted and nonsensical the story of Jujutsu Kaisen is because it's masked by its beautiful animation made by the slaves over there at MAPPA Studios, who are not allowed to go home and see their families ever. But the animation is so perfect. Okay, I agree with you guys. I will say my favorite animated fight in that entire show was probably Todo and Yuji versus Harami. That was just so good, dude. I think Todo is probably my favorite character as well. That guy is just hilarious. Steals the scene every time. But like I said, heavily inspired by Bleach, right? The story is also not very deep. It's just like there's curses, there's cursed sorcerers. We gotta fight the curses. Nobody, apparently all the civilians, they never care about curses just surrounding them. A lot of things goes unexplained, especially when you get to the manga, which we're not gonna take into consideration for this tier list. But the way the manga ended was just horrible. But I mean, again, I cannot in good conscience give this anything below an A tier, all right? After criticizing it over and over again. It's still good. It's still amazing. Just because I have criticism for something, guys, don't mean that I don't also love that thing, okay? Nothing is perfect except for One Piece. Next up, we got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Let's just take all the parts into consideration. I'll be honest, I've only watched up to part 4. I did hear part 5, which is the Golden Wind, gets really, really good. I haven't seen it yet. But from everything I've seen up till now, part 4, which is Diamond is Unbreakable, it is amazing, okay? It is not as good. It is also another anime that is completely overglazed and overhyped. People love the hilarious JoJo poses, right? But it is far from the perfect form of fiction many of the diehard JoJo fans make it out to be. And I know I'm angering a lot of people. I'm probably putting myself at danger for saying that, especially with how slow part 1 was, bro. Like, it took me probably 5 different tries to finish part 1, which is very necessary to continue the other parts. Like, you just can't skip part 1. So, insanely difficult anime to get into, but once you get into it, yes, it is pretty good. Let's not overhype it though. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, B tier for me. Is that a JoJo reference that I just made? B tier? Probably, right? Everything in the world is a JoJo reference. And that's why, you know, if we're talking about in popular meme culture, JoJo's would definitely be S tier, all right? But just looking at the anime itself, no, just no. Okay, up next, we got Kuroko's Basketball. Another one of my favorite anime just because I'm a diehard basketball fan, all right? If you haven't seen a video of me reacting to Guess the Basketball NBA player featuring Luka Doncic, you should watch it because nobody did. No one cared. But to me, sports anime does get to a point when there's like too many, you know, artificial, almost super power like things involved. It's too unrealistic for me, and that kind of takes me out of it. As much as I did enjoy Kuroko's Basketball, it was a little bit too over the top as a sports anime. I will put Kuroko's Basketball also into... objectively, let's put it into the C tier. It's like Blue Lock level kind of anime, you know? I would say Blue Lock might even be a little bit better than Kuroko's Basketball. Next up, Naruto, straight into the D tier. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a One Piece fan, all right? I was born to be a Naruto hater, but objectively speaking, obviously Naruto is great. Out of the big 3, it is definitely the second best, and just for that reason alone, it should be at least in the A tier, right? I didn't like the side characters very much. I love Naruto, but Sasuke was just so annoying, and not to mention Sakura, bro. I can't stand her, all right? Now, I will say, though, the anime, let's just all agree, is not very good simply because of the fact that it is 95% filler, 1% canon, okay? And 4% of, I don't know, man, just opening and ending sequences because, bro, the amount of fillers in that anime should be illegal. The animation studio should be jailed for this act of heinous crime. Because of that, as popular as Naruto is and as great of a story it told us, the anime just took us completely out of it, all right? Let's go ahead and put that into the A tier. This is not in any order, right? We'll just put it here. Oh, guys. You already know how I feel about One Piece, okay? It has completely changed my life. When I said in the intro, you know, every anime fan's favorite anime, they consider the greatest form of fiction. Well, I consider One Piece the greatest form of fiction, the greatest story ever told, the greatest journey and adventure that it takes you on, all right? Better than the Odyssey, better than the Iliad, better than everything that you have ever seen in your entire life. The way the creator, Oda, planned out the story from 30 years ago all the way till now, you know, the connections between the characters across a span of decades, the thousands of characters that are in the anime, and it's still getting better. I know the whole joke about how One Piece Season 1 has finally ended after nearly like 30 years of airing, and Season 2 will start again next April. They're moving to a seasonal format now, I think, to make the animation better and keep the pacing better, because I will say that is the major criticism for One Piece, is the animation across many of the 1,000 episodes were complete total dog, and the pacing was horrible. But on the topic of having a greater side character than Killua, you gotta give it to Zoro, alright? The best right-hand man. He could have his own anime where he just gets lost for 500 episodes, and it would be better than Naruto and Bleach. Manga, perfect. Anime, as much as it pains me to say this, not so great, okay? But it still deserves a spot in the A tier, let's be honest. Again, guys, this is a purely anime tier list. If it was in the manga tier list, then I don't even know where it would be, dude. Nah, I take it back. It's still S. It's still S. It's that good, bro. The story's just that good. I don't care if it's trash pacing. Now, speaking of trash, here comes One Punch Man. And I'm only saying trash because of Season 3, obviously, guys. Season 1 was probably an S tier. The animation between Saitama and Boros, was his name Boros? I think it was Boros. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life at that point. I think it came out like freaking 14 years ago, all right? I didn't know anime could get that good. I think One Punch Man set the trend. Season 2 took a slight dip, you know, in terms of animation quality, and it took them 7 years after Season 2 to release Season 3, and the animation was dog, bro. The famous meme going around of Garu sliding down that grass field. Just a JPEG image just being dragged down the grass field. There was a lot of, you know, theory that a whole bunch of this was animated by AI. You had characters like having extra fingers, were having, you know, just weird stuff that an actual animator would never make the mistake of doing. So based on its current trajectory, One Punch Man is looking pretty mid. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it into the B tier though, just because of how good seasons 1 and 2 were. This one, a lot of anime fans might not know of. It's called Samurai Champloo. Okay, one of the best anime I've ever seen growing up. Also very short and sweet. It's got like a mix of samurai, traditional samurai fights, and modern day hip-hop. Very cool. And fun fact, the most popular character in the anime, Mugen, shares the same voice actor as our boy Zoro. So you already know the voice sounds sick as hell. But a lot of you guys might not know about it, and just overall, it's not like the greatest anime ever. I'll throw Samurai Champloo into the C tier, relatively speaking, okay? Because in my opinion, these are all like A and S tier anime, but I just want to differentiate them a little bit. I feel like the whole reason I had the D tier created was just to make that one joke about Naruto, which probably handed me a couple of unsubs. Up next, we have Slam Dunk. Now, this, I will argue, is probably the best sports anime of all time. The emotional roller coaster that this anime puts you through. I know it's very old, okay? A lot of you guys probably don't even know what it is, but I would encourage every single one of you guys to go and watch it. It's not just about sports. It's not fast-paced basketball action. It teaches you very important lessons in life, right? About hard work, about friendship, about dedication. I'm throwing out random words out there, but you get what I'm trying to say. Slam Dunk, along with One Piece, completely reshaped my life, and just on a completely objective note, is one of the greatest anime ever made. The main criticism I can give is that they never finished it. They never finished it until like 20 years later with the first Slam Dunk movie, which is also one of the greatest things I have ever seen. I feel like I've said that many times in this video. I gotta give Slam Dunk an A tier, bro. Next up, Solo Leveling. Arise. The modern day greatest aura farmer of all time, alright? Our boy Sun Jin Woo. The whole thing about, you know, going through dungeons and fighting a bunch of ants, I think we know where we've seen that before, but that's neither here or there. Solo Leveling is so good. I can't get enough of Solo Leveling, man. Jinwoo is one of the most bad characters ever, all right? Dude is just way too freaking strong for the entire show. I don't know if he's ever gonna meet any level of competition. The animation is absolute peak, all right? And it's about Korea, which I love. So, yeah. A tier. Okay, next up, we got another old but gold YuYu Hakusho. Made by the same creator of Hunter x Hunter, so you already know it's insanely good. Fair warning, it is very old though, so for our younger, new generation of anime watchers, it might be difficult for you to get into, but once you do get into it, boy, is it rewarding. YuYu Hakusho, I will say, probably has the greatest tournament arc in anime history. Better than Dressrosa in One Piece, better than the Tenkaichi Budokai in Dragon Ball, the greatest tournament. So I highly recommend it, and my boy Kuwabara, one of the funniest anime characters of all time. Compared to every other anime on this list though, I think it's fair to put it into the B tier. Up next, we have Attack on Titan, the anime that took the entire world by a storm. The anime that absolutely shattered records season after season. It kept getting better. Many people grew up watching, following it from over a decade ago until it recently ended. One of the most epic, biggest scale stories ever told. The plot twists, the emotional roller coasters, on top of the amazing animation, everything about it was just mwah, chef kisses. A lot of people say Attack on Titan is overglazed. I don't think it's glazed enough. I feel like we should glaze it even more. This anime was so peak, it won a Global Impact Award. I don't think you guys understand, bro. It impacted the globe. An anime did that. Don't even try to argue with me that Attack on Titan is not at the top of the S tier in terms of anime, okay? I do not want to hear it. And as much as I probably angered a lot of you guys with this tier list, I just want to say that I apologize to absolutely nobody, because this is the most perfect anime tier list ever created. Let me know if you want to see more tier lists and reaction videos in the future. I would love to do one where I just rank the top anime waifus. Like, come on, you gotta subscribe to see that. Let's go.